So I hear you guys want a video of my cube collection these days. At least it was a highly rated suggestion in the moderator module. So anyway, this is my puzzle collection as of now. I don't really actually know. Let's just dump it all out. Okay. So anyway, I don't really have any plan for this video. I'm just gonna kind of wing it and see where it goes. Now, I guess what I'll be doing is give brief reviews on all of my puzzles, maybe say what I've done with them, or how long I've had them, maybe stuff like that. Oh man, where do I start? I guess, like, the very first puzzle that I ever got was a Rubik's 4x4, and it's now in pieces, and I've just been using them for scraps. And I got it 3.5 years ago for Christmas, and that's what started everything. You know, I didn't have any interest in solving it, but I wanted to know how it worked. So I figured out how to take it apart, and I also put up a tutorial on how to take it apart, and that's just basically where it's gone, and I am where I am today. The next puzzle I got was this Rubik's 3x3, which I have since put the new Super Cube stickers from CubeSmith on. And I have not played with the 3x3 that turns better. I think I was just totally lucky in the tension I got with this thing. So, but it turns very well, it's been very well broken in, and actually, I really love the CubeSmith stickers that I put on it. You guys should really check these out. And another 4x4 that I have, I believe this is a QJ one, and I've also put the CubeSmith super stickers on it, and this is actually a pretty interesting challenge. This did break once, and I glued the core back together, so it kind of turns a little rough. I'm not sure if I quite figured out how to solve this one yet. I may have, but it's been so long. It's just during the school year, I rarely spent time with my cubes. And I also got the Super Cube stickers for a V-Cube 5 as well. Someone sold me this V-Cube 5, but it fell apart. One of the cores broke on it. Like, I broke it trying to make it adjustable. The first time I was trying to make a core adjustable, I broke it, so... And, yeah, that did not work out so well. So, it's in pieces. I really need to try to see if I can fix it and figure out if I can solve this thing or not. Let me move all of these out of the way so that you know what I've talked about so far. And I think I'll talk about my 2x1x1. This is a puzzle that I made out of Legos, and it also has magnets in it to make it more stable. So this is a pretty fun puzzle to give to people because it has only 6 different solutions. So they have no idea what they're doing, they're just kind of solving it, and then they're turning it, they're just doing random moves, and voila, it's solved. It's a good confidence booster for them. But then I give them one of these things and tell them there's 43 quintillion possible combinations, and yeah. Here's another 3x3 that I have. This is my Dodo Cube. It's just a normal Rubik's Cube that I bought from Walmart or someplace, and then I got tiles to put on all of the sides, which is rather expensive. If you're going to get one of these, just get CubeSmith stickers, because odds are you're not going to be playing with it very much, so you won't need tiles. But yeah, this is also a good confidence booster to give to people. It's also fun because they all make the same jokes, like, I did it! And I also had a 1x1 somewhere that I also made out of Legos, but I'm not sure what happened to that. It disappeared someplace. So this mini 3x3 here, actually Jerry from work gave it to me. If any of you remember my day in the life video, that's right, he gave it to me. He just said, hey, I have this, I don't really play with it, so yeah, I was able to solve it once, and yeah, it's kind of another fun thing to have around. Now, here's a puzzle that I got, I guess, 2 years ago for my birthday, and this is a quad cube, and I lubricated it with Vaseline to make it turn easier, you know, in the hopes that the Vaseline would kind of speed up the breaking in process because it dissolves things faster, but I never had taken the time to clean it out, so. And, you know, this is a fairly decent puzzle to solve, but I start with the white side, and I start with a 2x2 that has all 4 sides on it. That way, I know I can solve this layer. You know, I count when it's all mixed up. I count, you know, making sure which side has 4, and this other one has 3 on it. So when I solve this, then I know that all I have to do is solve the remaining 3 corners, and then this one is done. And then I go along, and then I work my way up. You just have to remember to start with the one with 4 of the same color. You can start on the other end, you just have to start with yellow, and you just work your way up, and it's a pain to solve because the other cubes are all in the way, but it's still kind of fun to have around. Now, this is pretty much a dollar store cube. Someone from college gave it to me, you know, she didn't want it, and, you know, I really didn't want it, so she kind of stuck it with me. I'll probably throw it away, or maybe blow it up in another video or something. It's just a Disney thing with Jiminy Cricket on, like, all 6 sides. It's just a picture cube, you know, like a super cube. Here's another 3x3 I have. This is, I forget what, the Reuben King cube. Basically, I used tiles, and I cut them down diagonals. You know, I could have gone with the CubeSmith stickers specifically for this, but I figured, I prefer tiles. So, basically, when it's all solved, it looks like this. So, basically, just have 4 corners, you know, with each triangle, you know, on 4 of the corners. So basically, it's harder and easier to solve both at the same time. Number one, all of the edges can be flipped any way you want, and you can also interchange these 3 edges, so it's easier to solve. However, it's also harder to solve because you have to make sure the center's oriented. And by the way, I did figure out how to solve the super cube with my own method, but I still use the beginner's method. Like, I still use F2L, but I have to use the beginner's method for the last layer. Here's another 3x3 I have. I forget what this is called. I'll put it in an annotation right here, whatever puzzle this is. However, my dog got a hold of it and chewed off one of the corners and completely mutilated it. Some of the other things some of the other stickers are damaged from that. And it turns pretty well. I think I got this puzzle because I modified someone's cube and I got it in exchange for it. So it turns decently. Yeah, it looks like the corners and the edges are a little bit bigger so that it reduces pops, which is a good thing. And then there's also these trenches to reduce friction. So yeah, it's a decent cube. I'd probably be using it as my main speed cube if my dog didn't get a hold of it. And then here's a 2x3x1. I ordered it from a guy on Twisty Puzzles who was just selling his puzzles, and it wasn't that much more expensive on light take, so I was like, he wants to get rid of a cube, and I wanted a cube, so I got it. And then I also put CubeSmith tiles on it. It turns a little well. You have to make sure that the tensions are right, otherwise you get, it kind of gets springy like this. So I may have to fix that. It's a very simple mechanism. All there is just 2 halves kind of screwed together. That's all. That's pretty much all it is. Yes, and I got this square one for Christmas, and yeah, it's not doing too well. I also lost a cap for it, but I have not figured out how to solve this, and I'll probably take the time one of these days, and if I can't, I'll probably look up the instructions. I got it very close once, like only 3 pieces away, and that's the farthest I got. Okay. And here's another puzzle, the 3x3x4 from Cube For You. I got it from Light Take, and I also put CubeSmith tiles on this, and it turns decently well. I did figure out my own method to solve it, but it is rather complicated, so if I make a tutorial on it, don't assume that it's going to be the best one. So, I mean, I use, like, the parity algorithms from the 4x4, and I use them over and over and over again. It's a very inefficient method, but it gets it solved. I can probably solve it in about 4 to 5 minutes. Very slow. And I also now have a new Megaminx. You guys probably remember that John, my manager from Golden Corral, he borrowed it at Christmas time and never gave it back, so I finally just decided to buy this one. I got it from Mefferts.com. This is just the MF8 version, though I was informed that that is a mistake. You should order these from Amazon. You can get it for about $5 cheaper, and I also lost a tile on it. And this seems to turn better than the Puzzle Pro Megaminx that I got, that I had earlier. And it's missing a tile, so I may order the CubeSmith tiles and put them on here because, yeah, since I lost one, I may lose more. So, yeah, but it's a decent puzzle. I like it a lot. And then I also have the Holy Megaminx, and this one, I actually hand-cut the tiles for it. It was sometime last year that I did it. Now, the best way to describe the colors that CubeSmith has to offer is they have all of the regular colors of the Rubik's Cube plus purple. And then, for the other 6 colors, they just have a lighter version. So, we've got a dark green and a light green. Here, I'll get a little closer. You know, a purple and a light purple or pink. I don't know if that is even a light purple, and so on and so forth. They've got an orange and a darker orange. So, and the tiles turned out to be a little big. I wish I kind of cut them more smaller. You know, I printed off outlines off of the computer and then stuck them on the square tile material that CubeSmith sells, and I cut along the lines, and I used adhesive paper. Works very well. So, yeah, kind of fun to solve every now and then, but if I want to solve a dodecahedron, I'll probably pick up this one because it just turns better. Alright, and I also got the Flowerminx a long time ago. So, basically, the Flowerminx is just a Megaminx, only without the edges. So, it's this overlapping type puzzle that's going on, and then there's these indents that allow for the space for the flowers to turn into it. So, they slightly go into those little gaps. And I am using the CubeSmith stickers that came with it, and the CubeSmith stickers actually work really well. You know, it's nice because they cover the whole flatness of the piece, so there's not really any room for your finger to catch it and allow it to peel. You know, like, all too often, like on the V-Cubes, is that the stickers get very close to the edge of the pieces, so they're easier to catch. And it's not so much on this case, so I have had no trouble with these peeling. And I tried to modify this one a while ago to make it turn a little better. I may even try to smooth out the edges because it catches easily, because it still has the edges from the Megaminx, they're just down inside. There we are, you see that? And another puzzle that uses just about the very same mechanism is the Pyraminx Crystal. Now, Mefferts had these available a long time ago, and then they went out of stock as the demand lowered. But then after a while, Mefferts sold them again because the demand went up. And it uses the same mechanism. It still has the inner edges like in the Pyraminx, except now it's got these other edge pieces that are on top. So there's inner edges and outer edges. And this puzzle, sometime I'm going to try to modify it to make it turn better. Now, as for solving this puzzle, I figured it out myself. I think I heard a hint from somewhere to solve the corners first, you know, like you would on the Pyraminx, and then solve the edges. So I tried that, and I found that after solving the corners, it's just a matter of kind of switching around pieces like this and then down again, and you can solve it. Now, I don't really solve this one too much since it's like the pieces catch very easily, these pieces slide very easily, and it just takes a long time to solve. And the stickers I have on it, someone on Twisty Puzzles gave them to me in return for a review, but as far as I could tell, they were never available on his website, and I said I'll make the review as soon as they're available on the website, but I don't think that ever happened. I do like the stickers a lot. The only thing is that some of, like, these kind of stickers are closer to each other, you know, or they're very similar to each other. So I just simply put them on opposite sides of the puzzle, and they're no problem at all. Oh, and here's the golden cube. Now, this is actually a very fun puzzle to show off in front of other people. You know, I really actually should start getting more into these shape-shifting puzzles. Now, I actually figured out how to solve this one myself, and it is based off of the cube mechanism, which I do not own, so I had to solve this one basically from scratch. And it took me, like, probably a total of 4 hours over 2 days for me to figure it out. And basically, after I got the first, like, there's two halves to it, because right now, in its solved state, you can only turn this half of the pieces. So, and right now, when it's turned like this, then you can turn all 4 axes. Basically, what the key is to solve one half first, and then solve the other half. Because, you know, it's very hard to tell that this piece actually matches up with this one, because, you know, it's not solved, and that's the only way it can turn. And pretty much how I figured it out is I would take out, like, 2 pieces, I would switch them around, and then bring them back in, and then I check to see what happened on the top layer. And I just fussed around with it until I came up with 2 algorithms that I could use over and over again. One algorithm would switch around the pieces. Once I switched around these 3 edges, then these 3 other edges or corners, whatever you want to refer them to, fell into place also. Then I figured out an algorithm that would orient these 2 pieces and these 2 pieces or something like that, and I was able to solve it. I may make a tutorial for it, but I'm debating on it because it's very hard. I think it would be very hard to show what I am doing because it even blows me away how I figured it out sometimes. But it's a very fun puzzle to solve. I'm very thankful it has this slight click mechanism. You know, it's not excessive to be annoying like the V-Cube 6, but it still turns very smoothly, and it helps to lock each piece into place. Okay, and another puzzle that I have here is the Crazy 4x4. And if you don't know, this is pretty much a 2x2, where these 3 pieces are all connected together. See, no matter what you do, these 3 pieces are these 3 pieces are always going to stay intact. So each chunk is a corner. Is like a 2x2 corner. That's how it works. And we've got these outer pieces that fit into place, and then we have the normal 4x4 mechanism that fits around it. And if you would like to see the mechanism, search on my channel for the Crazy 4x4 review, and I have that up. And I have tiles on it that I cut myself, but that was a mistake. I should have left the original stickers on them. It seemed like those stickers were like twice as thick as the Cubesmith vinyl stickers, so they were more durable, less susceptible to chipping. And they were very well rounded, so I don't think they would have peeled very well. And right now I'm having a problem because these tiles are so thin at the corners that some of them break off. I took some shellac spray that I got from Home Depot. Basically, it's a coating that when you spray it on, it hardens as, you know, a nice sealer. That's why these puzzles were so shiny, is because I sprayed shellac on them. And it's worked very well on these puzzles. The stickers haven't peeled at all, but it would take a lot to hold a tile down, let's just say. If you want to get this puzzle, use the original stickers. And this puzzle is actually really fun to solve. I figured out after I figured out that these 3 pieces were all connected and that I was able to solve that as a 2x2, I got everything down except the parity algorithm, and I must admit that I did look up how to do that one, and I was just like, oh, I may have thought, well, I might have thought of it, but I'm not going to give things away if you want to figure out how to solve it yourself. Okay, and up next, the Gear Cube, and I love solving this one in front of people at Golden Crowd, because they start turning it and they're like, oh. And I did figure out my own method to solve it, so I'll probably be making a tutorial on how to do it. It took me like 20 minutes or a half hour to figure out, you know. It's very simple, you know, it almost seems like it gets easier to solve as it goes along, because since, you know, these pieces have to move in this way, there is a parity between them all, and once you solve the first couple of pieces, that parity will cause the other pieces to solve too. And yeah, I really like it a lot. Okay, and this last puzzle is a Rubik's 5x5 that someone donated to me for the sake of making a tutorial on how to make a Rubik's 5x5 adjustable. I'm kind of debating whether or not I should be using springs or not in them. I probably have to get shorter screws. And I did figure out that if like it can cut corners if like you break off the interlocking mechanism, but then it's less stable. So I certainly have to experiment with it before making the tutorial. Oh, oops, sorry, I just realized I had 2 puzzles that I had in my little backpack that I take around with me. So, anyway, let's go on to this 4x4 here. This is an Eachine 4x4, not the very best turning quality. You know, I really gotta look into getting a better 4x4, or maybe even the X Cube before. I tried looking to find a place to buy that. If you guys know of a link to buy this, send me a private message, because I was trying to look for the X Cube 4, but could not find it anywhere. So anyway, the Eachine 4x4, it turns relatively well. Compared to the V-Cubes, it's not that great. I would say it's about the same quality as the QJ 4x4. They both have different feels to them, but I think that it's pretty much the same turning quality. Now this puzzle, let's see, I have a lot to say about it. First, I tried, you know, this is the Cube for You Gigaminx, and out of the box, it turned awful. But I was able to apply a modification to it, and you can search for that in my channel too, that did help the outer layers, because originally, these inner layers would turn more easier than the outer layers, so I created a modification to do that. And I also tried putting dirt in it, and which, you know, the dirt, I found that it did help the Gigaminx, but that's because it's worse than dirt. But don't try putting dirt in any other puzzle. Currently, I recommend to do that for my V-Cube 6 modification tutorial, but I don't recommend it anymore. While it does make it make the puzzle turn more smoothly, it also makes it harder to turn. I have tried putting Vaseline in this puzzle in the hopes, you know, one day to clean it all out, and hopefully that will take all the dirt with it, and it'll maybe be a decent puzzle. But maybe I'll just throw it away and get the new MF8 Megaminx. And now, the Pyraminx. This is the MF8 Pyraminx. And I heard that it was better than Cube for You, the Cube for You brand, and pretty much it turns decently, but really, I think I've only solved it twice. And it's not because it turns bad, it just takes so long to solve. And I think, well, if I were to solve it more, I think you would have to turn, you know, up to the V-Cube quality. For solving, I don't think this is necessarily worth getting. However, I do think it's worth getting just for pretty much showing off, because this is a huge puzzle. I mean, compared to the V-Cube 7, it's puny. Or huge, whatever the comparison. I've had this on the counter at Golden Corral a few times, and people will just walk by and just, you know, kind of stare at it as they go by. So that does make it worth it to have it, I must admit. Okay, so I saved the best for last, the V-Cubes, and I started off with a white set of V-Cubes, but I decided to switch to black, so I sold my white V-Cube 7 and my white V-Cube 5 on eBay, and I actually made a profit out of it and then got 2 new ones, because, you know, my older ones were already broken in and they turned a lot better. Now I've pretty much gotten these up to the quality that, you know, the V-Cube quality that they have. And I would say that these are the best puzzles out there, and they're a little hard to turn out of the box, like, especially the V-Cube 7, but after about a month, it breaks in very nicely and turns very smoothly. And the V-Cube company put greasy lubricant in these puzzles, but I recommend that you just clean that out. Either throw all the pieces in a net in the dishwasher, or clean it off with a paper towel, and then use a silicone-based lubricant, either CRC, or Jigaloo. The V-Cube 5, after you sand off the bumps on all of the corners, all the sides turn very smoothly, and it's a very good quality puzzle. And this is the V-Cube 6 that I originally performed my modification that reduces the clickiness. And I have CubeSmith tiles on here, and I actually decided to go with purple tiles. Like, I've always liked black cubes better than white cubes because the colors on them are so much more consistent. But then I found that if you replace black with purple, then the colors still remain consistent. So I actually don't mind white cubes as much as long as they have purple on them. So if you're ever thinking of getting a white cube and you think the black stands out too much, then go for purple stickers. Or if you like the black, that's fine. I'm just saying in case you do mind, like me. And as for my new black V-Cube 6, you know, as you probably know, after doing my modification to reduce the clicky feel, there is still a slight clickiness to it. It's because most of the edges are straight in here. Rather, in the V-Cube 7, they're round. Oh, and by the way, if you notice that I'm missing a few tile caps, I'm gonna have to try to make some more. buy those just with some black plastic and some tile material that I have. So what I tried to do is do the same thing that I tried on the Gigaminx, is put dirt in it. And again, it does make the puzzle smoother, but it actually makes it stiffer to turn. Like, it's smooth, but it's also harder to turn. And I did try putting Vaseline in here and for a while, and then I cleaned it all out, and it made the outer layers turn very smoothly, but the inner ones are still stiff. I'm not sure what's going on there. If I want to solve a puzzle, I'll probably pick up the V-Cube 5 or the V-Cube 7. Okay, so I think I've gone through my whole collection here. Yep, this is all that I have. It's not actually a very big collection, considering that I've been into cubing for over 3.5 years. I'll probably be making tutorials on a lot of these puzzles that I figured out how to solve myself. A lot of them probably won't be the best because they're methods that I came up with, but, you know, yeah, I'll just throw it out there, see what happens. Some of them will probably do better than others. If you guys want me to make a tutorial on any of these puzzles, just go ahead and send it into the moderator module, or look through the suggested votes and vote on one that you want to see done. Alright, I believe that's everything I have to talk about for my puzzle collection video. There may have been a few things I would have also liked to talk about, but I'm pretty sure I got 95% of it. And that's still an A, so that's what I'm going to be going for. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.